We are live on Facebook. Good afternoon. Today is Take Charge Tuesday Power Call for Georgia Christian Business Network. Our vision is to put God back in business, and I am thrilled. I am elated to present to you our guest for today. I have the privilege and the honor of presenting my son, Jerome Copeland Jr., to our Take Charge Tuesday call today. He has a dynamic message to talk about that is so relevant to the end of this year and just for doing business anyway. And I want to tell you his topic is project management made simple. And so I hope that you'll be able to take your pen and paper, share this call, this Zoom call on your Facebook timeline, share it with your friends. It's important. And for those that you are watching the replay, we hope that you'll enjoy some of these tips as well. What I'd like to do at this point, we've been promoting Jerome, and I call him Romy. So if I slip up, that's what I've known him for some 31 years, then please understand that's an affection there. But listen, I am so important. It's so important to tell you about his credibility, the great things that he's accomplished in his life. We've been promoting all that. But what we do as it's standard on our GCBN, Take Charge Tuesday and Wellness Wednesday platforms is to allow our guest presenters to introduce themselves, to be able to speak from their heart, who they are, what they do, and why you should care. So Jerome, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
So let's get into it. So I'm sharing my screen. You should be viewing that right now. But as my mom spoke to, so I've been in technology operations for pretty much the last decade. The majority of that time frame has been spent within the project management space, delivering technology solutions, technology products as well. Outside of project management, I also own a media business, and I'm currently in the process of building a project management consulting firm. So we're going to be focusing on providing project management solutions. So soon to come there, but I've just been really blessed and fortunate to work with some amazing clients. You can see some of them on the screen right here, delivering solutions, delivering products. I have a great support system. I really want to thank my mom here for, putting me in the right places and investing in my life to kind of get where I am now. So really thrilled to speak with everyone. Hopefully I can say something that's insightful to help people within their project management journey or just general business journey. So let's get into it. So first three topics I'm going to cover today is going to be project management, project approach strategies, managing timelines, and identifying risks. So I really like talking about approaching a project, right? So it's funny though, because many people get so overwhelmed when they try to approach a project for their business, or they try to implement some type of objective within their business, utilizing some project management disciplines. And they get really stressed out because they're like, oh my goodness, this is so technical. How do I do this? But the funny thing is that you've actually been doing project management your whole life. You just don't know that, right? So when you planned your wedding, when you planned your birthday party, your friends and family vacation, you use project management methodology. You just probably didn't know, right? So just an example, right? You're planning a big trip. What's the first thing you're going to do? You're probably going to look for the best airline prices, compare prices. That's called procuring vendors, researching and procuring vendors, right? Second thing you're probably going to do is you're going to figure out some sightseeing reservations and the most efficient route to go through all the sites, right? So you're kind of creating milestones and critical dependencies, so you're not having to do any rework in the future, right? So you've been doing all of these project management disciplines. You just haven't necessarily called them the same exact terms, right? It's a different jargon, it's a different nomenclature, but you can do it. So if you can kind of shift your mind around that and think in that capacity, project management is really easy. So first point, let's talk about approaching the project, right? So the best way to approach a project is to create a project plan, right? The project plan kind of identifies all of your goals, all of your objectives within the project, right? The Bible says without a vision, the people will perish. So it's extremely important to have a project roadmap or a guide that kind of identifies what done looks like, what your ultimate goal of your project is. Otherwise, you're just going to get in complete utter chaos. From a business perspective, that can be additional time, that can be additional money, funds. So you definitely want to have a plan just so you can kind of have an idea of where you're going. So a lot of times people say, okay, what does a project plan look like? Well, it can pretty much be a document just detailing and describing the purpose of the project, what objectives you're looking to accomplish. It can also be just a workbook, Excel table, kind of listing out your milestones and key deliverables. You just need something that you can keep track of, right? So
is there a document that outlines this for you, or do you just?
Yeah, so like I had, it's funny, when I was making my deck here, I kind of had an example or a template, but it's kind of old school. A lot of times there's actual applications. There's so many things you can do, right? There's software you can get online to track it. There's tons of project management services that you can kind of become a member of. You can do it the old school way, which is what I prefer. But unfortunately, you don't get the opportunity to do too frequently, which is using Microsoft Project or Excel. So there's just so many ways you can do it. I decided I probably might confuse people more if I add the template. But what you're pretty much.
But one thing that I want to say to you is feel free to, grow us up, right, like you do me, type thing. Right. So yeah. And so the opportunity too, I want to take while I have the platform is to welcome our support on Facebook Live. Is just great today. I thank you, Lisa Muth, my BA, for manning the post over there. I understand April Minger, Cynthia Urak, Pamela Bridgman, those and others are on Facebook Live. So we want to thank you. So just chime in. Lisa will communicate to me those questions that I can field over to Jerome to have him answer those as well. So feel free to chime in at any point. Okay, go. And on Facebook, oh my gosh, on Zoom, who do we have here? It's a family affair. Okay, so Jerome's wife, Bianca, is on the call with us today. In addition to Dr. Jess out of Dallas is here with us today. So thank you guys for joining us on the Zoom call as well. Okay, back at you.
Right. So I think we're talking about what the project plan looks like. So yeah, it can look, it can have various different looks, right? So I didn't want to confuse anybody, but when you're tracking a project, the best thing to do, the best discipline to follow is one that's organized and one that kind of allows you to understand what's going on. So I think through the evolution of project management, there's not exactly like one project plan. But ultimately, what I'm just trying to say is you need to have something, whether it's a Excel document, whether it's a Microsoft project document, whether it's a Word table, you need to have something that's going to indicate what your key milestones and deliverables are and when they need to be completed. We'll talk about timelines in a second, but does that answer your question?
Yes. And I guess really made simple is already for me is because the skill comes from not so much focusing on it. Like, for instance, you name weddings I planned. You've talked about a birthday party or some of those things that we don't recognize to be per se projects, but they are in fact projects. And so the same type of approach, I guess, is what you're saying. And I think I follow you on that is the way we would approach any other project in business.
Right, correct. So, you can get really technical with, the various project management terms, but let's just focus on the word project. And the PMI, which is the Project Management Institute. This is a global organization that pretty much indicates all the processes and procedures associated with project management. And they define a project as an endeavor that has a clearly defined beginning and clearly defined end. So weddings, there's a beginning, there's an end. Birthday parties, vacations, beginning and end. So anything that has a beginning and an end is a project. So once you think in that way, you kind of start think of all the other things that you've done and you achieved and you planned. So yeah, to your point, you just shift the thinking and you're a project manager.
Awesome. Okay. I'm a project manager.
All right. So we're kind of transitioning from the approach, right? So once we have our plan, we have to manage our timeline. So managing the timeline is more than likely going to be the difference between a project being successful and a project failing, right? So if you're not adequately measuring out the amount of time that it's going to take for you to complete your project, you're going to put yourself in a very stressful situation. So measuring the timeline this is something that's pretty tricky because you want to make sure the project is completed as soon as possible, right? Because we talked about earlier, once you deviate from the plan, you run into some problems like rework, budgeting, things like that. So you want to make sure it's done as early as possible, but you want to give yourself enough time to complete everything, right? Okay. So this can get technical too, but just keeping it high level. The best way to do this is to identify the amount of each milestone in the project, identify the amount of time each milestone or each task will take within the project, and then add it all up, right? So, just sticking with our vacation planning example, if you're looking for your flights, right? You're researching your vendors and procuring them. It's probably going to take you like 2 hours, right? After that, you're probably going to pack. If you're like me, that can be 15 minutes. But if you actually care about what you're taking in your suitcase, that might be another 2 hours. And then you probably want to allocate some time to go to the store to do any last minute shops. That's another 2 hours. And then going to the airport, that's probably 1 hour. So if my memory serves me right, that was probably 7 hours, right? So that project was 7 hours. So when I'm building my timeline, I'm going, okay, I have 7 hours to do these 3 or 4 things that I just mentioned, right? So I'm probably going to give myself maybe 7.5 hours or 8 hours just to make sure, because we do have to account for risk, which leads me to my my next topic. So when we have our plan,
so are you just brainstorming the things that that are associated with this particular project that needs to be accomplished prior to completion? Is that correct assumption?
You are, because that was in our project plan, right? So we identified everything there.
Okay.
So
okay,
yeah,
in the plan. Okay,
right.
Gotcha.
We should know everything. We should know what done looks like before we even get hands on, right? That's all in the plan.
I got you. That's the purpose of write the vision, make it plain. Gotcha. Your script.
We should know what done looks like. We should know what our goals and our objectives are. After that, we're going to transition to a timeline. We're going to manage those timelines. And we're going to build the timeline based upon the amount of time that it's going to take to complete those goals and objectives. All right. Once we have that timeline built, we also want to leave some room for some risk, right? So risk is another it's another unknown. It's another tricky item because of all the unknowns associated, right? Well,
before you move forward, you got some feedback. from Facebook, a comment is the timeline estimate is so key. And I struggle so bad with this part. Please thank him for me. This makes so much sense. And that's coming from Lisa.
Oh,
yeah. And so, because the thing that came to mind, and I was waiting to identify risk, because if I am pushed back ahead of you, because to Lisa's point, I understand that, because managing the timeline when you're dependent upon other players that, the piece that I'm challenged with is some of those things that I identified in the planning stage, in project approach strategies, in that planning stage and creating that document. When I get to managing timelines, if it's dependent upon someone else, maybe delegating or something like that. Is this making sense to you? Are you understanding what I'm asking?
Yeah, Mom, you're getting pretty technical with it, but
okay.
Just to answer your question, that's called a critical dependency. So if something has a critical if a milestone has a critical dependency upon another milestone, you do have to allocate that time and the amount of time it takes for it to be completed. So there's different ways you can do that. And like I said, this is going to get me down a rabbit hole a little bit, but
okay,
you say grow you up, right? You say you want to grow you up. So the best way to accomplish that is you want to see what items can be done in parallel, right? So say just, let's just stick with this vacation example, right? So if we are booking our hotel, right? We got our flight, we're booking our hotel, but maybe you're wanting to use some points, right? So you're on the hotel website, you have some credit card points or I don't know, like member points, loyalty points, whatever you call it. You're trying to get that achieved, but whatever the case may be, you're having issues, entering your member ID or having those points associated with that current invoice to reduce the price. So the hotel says, well, okay, we'll get back with you, or the credit card company says, we'll get back with you, right? You have to look for things you can do in the interim, right? So the best way to set up your project plan is to not have everything more in a waterfall approach, which is I have to do X, then I do Y, then I do Z. You want to try to see or set it up or look for opportunities where items can be done in parallel, right? So if X is on hold, can I do Y and Z at the same time? Or if X is on hold, can I just do Y at the same time? So if there's a critical dependency and there's a blockage, you look for items or activities that can be done in parallel or that can kind of be done in the interim. So it's kind of a lot, but hopefully it made sense.
Gotcha. Awesome.
All right. So let's just get back to the risk, and if people have more questions on that, we can get back to that if we need to. But I just want to call out the importance of calling out risk, right? So again, like I was saying earlier, this is extremely tricky. Obviously, nobody can see into the future. So what we do is we kind of create assumptions. And that's how we kind of identify potential risks. So we take what we do know and build upon that and kind of build upon that to kind of get over the things that we don't know. So again, the vacation example, even if you're going to Florida, right, you're not going to carry all shorts and sandals. You probably want to look at the weather. If you see there's a percentage of rain, then you'd be like, okay, well, I'm going to take a jacket. I'm going to take some sneakers just so I can still get things moving. I can still see some sights. I can still have some fun. I'm not going to be in the hotel all day. Then you're going to miss a day, right? So same thing applies to whatever projects you're trying to achieve in your business, right? So if you have a critical dependency, that's kind of what we were just talking about. Or if you're waiting on somebody, you're blocked by something. If there's just some variables that need to happen before, you're going to look for ways to overcome that. a business example would probably be, say you're having a GCBN event, and you know, you're procuring a venue, but you know, maybe the venue doesn't have enough seating, right? So how are you going to overcome that risk? You're probably going to be like, okay, well, let me get some more chairs, keep them on standby, you know, whatever the case may be, just to make everybody comfortable. So you kind of have to assume that some things in some areas might not work out, and you need to create a solution for it. All right. So those are the I'd say very high level, the main 3 points you need to successfully run your project. If you kind of follow these 3 points, approaching the project with the project plan, manage your timeline, build an accurate timeline that gives you some slack, but not too much, where you can get the project done at a reasonable or in a reasonable time, and then you kind of identify your risks. You should definitely have a successful project. So do we have any questions?
One thing that I'd like to interject is the urgency of seeing projects within your business and not just pulling things. I think it's a discipline. Is that okay to say that like that? That is required, or?
Well, there's actually both of those are the 2 different types of disciplines. So,
okay.
And like I said, we're really getting like really technical with it. But if you can use both of those strategies, but I mean, just from a business perspective, you have to understand what's the most effective way for you to run your business, right? So, if you're identifying a project, right, more than likely it's something that's either going to save you money or it's costing you money, and you're probably going to need to find a solution. So you can identify that, say, hey, this is my objective, and this will be it, and that's a project. But you also have projects where you're kind of working in a Scrum methodology, and
what is that?
Yeah, so this is, like I said, that last question got a little technical, but one thing you can do is within Scrum is a type of it's a type of project management discipline, kind of, but it's different. But you know, one thing you can do is work in what they call a Kanban style, and what that means is you're saying, okay, this is my business, right? I need to do this. You're identifying goals, right? And you're kind of dragging things from your tabled items, from your icebox, and saying, okay, I'm going to do this, drag this over, it's in progress. Once that's complete, you can drag something else. That's just probably, you know, just one person doing it. If you have multiple people, that's the best way to really utilize Scrum. Project management is you can say, hey guys, we're going to work for 2 weeks. We're going to call it a short iteration, and say within this 2 weeks, we're going to commit to doing all of these objectives and all these initiatives for the business. At the end of that 2 weeks, everything gets done, and we'll say, hey, we're going to go back and drag over another 2 weeks worth of work until everything is done. So yeah, like I said, it's pretty technical. You can do that way as well. You can just drag and drop things over. One thing I want to add, that's where a lot of this these online project plan websites come into handy. All right, there's a lot of them online that kind of make it easier to do that. But the benefit of actually doing that, it sounds slightly chaotic, but it's actually really great, because say you're working on a project and you're identifying all your objectives, all your milestones, all your tasks, and you know, you do literally everything. Say you finish 80% of the project, and you find out that something that you've been working on for months is completely messed up because you haven't had the opportunity to do any quality assurance. You haven't had the opportunity to go through approval without the team, and you've just been working.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're going to be devastated because you wasted all this time. You probably wasted resources. And again, like I said earlier, wasted resources probably means wasted budget. So the Kanban style, like I said, kind of just dragging and dropping activities and items over to your to-do list or your in progress list. If you're checking in every 2 weeks, doing quality assurance every 2 weeks, you're going to identify whatever the issue was way earlier. You probably be like, 4 weeks in, which is, your 2 sprint cycles, and you say, oh, wait, this isn't right. All because you're doing the quality assurance before you're actually approving it as done. So to answer your question, yes, you can drag and drop things over, as long as it has a clearly defined beginning and end. Otherwise, it's not a project. And then what was the first thing you said? Yeah, you can also just say, hey, this is my project and this is what I'm going to do. So both of those disciplines work. The second one, a lot more technical, obviously. I hope that didn't go over anyone's head, but yes, you can work in both of those disciplines.
And so some of the project approach strategies that from the beginning, what you recommend, aside from, you said old school, would you use even some old school, but I know we've discussed Trello and some of those other tools that are out there. Mm-hmm. And then while I'm putting that out there, I want you to also address, why do we fear project management as business owners, and why should we embrace it? And from the thing that I was thinking of, the scripture, 1 Corinthians 14:40 talks about, let everything be done decently and in order. And so the opportunity there is, what I see the benefit, but you help us, is the decency and the order, the alignment. Also accountability is spelled out there as well. And while I'm at it, from Facebook, I've got a question. What are ongoing tasks called, like TCT and Take Charge Tuesday and Wellness Wednesdays? Are those ongoing tasks? If I'm asking that correctly, Lisa, let me know. Yeah. We have these regular projects that we do, Take Charge Tuesday, which you're facilitating our call today, and Wellness Wednesday on Wednesdays, where our licensed counselors and social worker actually facilitate those calls along with me. And so what are ongoing tasks like that called? Where are those projects as well? Or
well, you got 3 questions there. Let's just go ahead and start with the last one. Okay. So that's actually called a program. Yeah. So if we're getting really technical. I probably should have beefed this up because I didn't realize everybody was so technical like this. But I love it.
See, you based it upon me, probably.
I probably did. But so Take Charge Tuesday is actually going to be a program, right? And then within a program is a project. So Tuesday, December, today is the 7th. That's a project, right? That's Jerome Copeland's project. That's the project called Jerome Copeland. It will be done today, and then we'll start a new project next Tuesday, right? So the hierarchy of a portfolio would be, start off with the portfolio, right? A portfolio can consist of numerous programs, right? So portfolio is the top. If you have a project portfolio, you have a whole bunch of programs within that portfolio that have individual goals, right? Within the program, you're going to have a project. Right? You can have more than one project within the program.
Okay.
Tons. And the reason that project is in that program or those different types of programs, because those different projects are grouped and they're similar, all right, to achieve, they all kind of work to achieve the ultimate goal of the program. Okay. And then all those different programs lead back up to the portfolio. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's going to be a little bit hard to do an example, but say GCBN actually has they have a project portfolio, right? And then they have one program called speaking engagement, right? And that's a speaking engagement program. Underneath that program, we'll have all the various projects associated with speaking engagements, right? So it would be the speaking engagement for January, the speaking engagement for February, the speaking engagement for March. So that's a pretty good example of project hierarchy. Back to your first question, you said the different applications. So Trello is an application, Jira is an application, Claire is in. There's tons of stuff. I think the benefit of those, that's when you get more in the collaborative space. So if you're working with somebody and you guys can kind of see, like, say you have milestones or tasks assigned to each other, and there's critical dependencies associated between numerous tasks, and your block, there's subtasks underneath that. You can kind of go in within your team and say, hey, I'm waiting on you to complete this. All right. And you'll get an email notification. Hey, Jerome is waiting on you. When will you have this completed? And you say, oh, let me go do this now. It's done. Jerome gets notified. And then the next person gets notified who's waiting on me or whatever. It's just more of a collaborative environment. That's what a lot of these, they call them software as a service applications kind of have versus good old Excel. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them, but I just kind of like to manipulate what I want to manipulate. I've worked in them before. I currently use Jira right now. I use Pivot Table right now, working on a couple of projects. So they're not that bad, but I don't know. That's what I started on, Excel and Microsoft projects. So it's my first go-to. I have learned.
What would you recommend? What would you recommend? And I have a couple of comments after this. Let me just throw all this out. What would be the recommendation in keeping in line with project management made simple for someone that is really not that familiar with any of those tools aside from Excel and the traditional ways of starting up? What would you recommend to abbreviate an opportunity to, just introduce softly, because me personally, in which Lisa's made a comment out there that, Romy, your mom's technical.
I don't know about that, but
Tony says there's great, strong content here. Tony, haven't seen you or heard from you in a while. Good to have you on today, and all of those participated. And also, Lisa just sent me her notes, and it's just like she said, I'm trying to get better. And she's got a slew of notes from what you already shared. So please let us have it.
Yeah. So in terms of recommendations, right? If you don't want to stop the show, that's like project management 101, right? You don't want to stop the show. You got to keep things moving. So if all you know is Excel, do it. But as far as recommendation, you need to learn everything. A lot of these applications online, they're pretty similar. But the sooner the better. Because again, a lot of my verbiage today, was a little bit old school verbiage because I didn't want to confuse everyone. For instance, a lot of those online applications, they call the project plan the backlog, right? They call tasks, they call milestones issues. Why they call them issues, I'm not sure, but that's what they're calling them now. So you'll commonly hear somebody say, oh, this issue is resolved, meaning this milestone is completed. this task is completed. So the sooner the better. A lot of people are fearful for technology, but it's not going anywhere. It's getting better. It's getting stronger. It's being implemented into various spaces. There's new terms made every day. For instance, biotech, right? That's technology that kind of focuses on anatomy, physiology, and biology, and things like that. So it's pretty much implemented every industry.
Wow.
So you don't want to stop the show of your business if you're trying to, procure contracts and kind of be the go-to project manager for somebody. They're gonna look at you crazy if you're using Microsoft Excel on a massive project. Say you get a bid, or you win a bid on a big project for a massive client, and you're using Microsoft Excel. It's not going to work. Something small, yeah, sure. Something that you're just doing on your own, yeah, sure. Which is, I do it all the time. But I'm on a big client right now, and I have to use Jira. That's what we're using, and theirs is a mess, but I have to find a way to get through it. So to answer your question, you should always be trying to learn what you can. Some great resources out there. YouTube is free. YouTube University. I have learned so much from YouTube.
Oh gosh.
It's ridiculous. If you're more structured with your learning, there's a great website called udemy.com. A lot of entrepreneurs, which is what I assume the audience is here. Many entrepreneurs have LinkedIn, and they're on LinkedIn a lot. There's a LinkedIn learning solution if you're a premium member. It's pretty cost effective. So you should always be learning everything you can. But yeah, don't stop. Just get in there and learn how to do it. It's probably something you can learn in like a week or so.
Awesome. Another comment coming from Facebook Live from Tony. It says, this is water to clarifying and improving my personal and my team's process. So this is great and beneficial. I want to acknowledge those that are on Zoom with us. We've got a full house here today. Hey, Jessica Nails, hope you're well. Again, Dr. Jessica's here. Deborah Waters. Hi, that's Miss Debbie Romey from PA. Thank you for joining us all today. Bianca, your wife. Hello. And Alessia's mom. And of course, and I wanted to get her name in there anyway. And saving the one of the most important for last is my husband. He's in the house. I see you out there. And from Deborah to everyone, glad to be on. Okay, and we're glad to have you. Awesome. Got one other comment, and I'm gonna let you wrap. This is what is Lisa asking me? Tell us the site again, learning site. Hi, Mr. Jerome from Lisa Muth. He was just asking about Jude earlier. Okay, so Romy, tell us the site name again, the learning site. What was that one?
Yeah, the learning site was udemy.com.
Udemy.com. And it's
Udemy, so that's spelled UDEMY, udemy.com. And they have courses on pretty much everything. If you're looking to do business development, if you're looking to understand project management, program management, which is, I explained that earlier. If you're looking to learn how to cook, I mean, it's a great website. Also, though, I would leverage some YouTube videos, youtube.com. Everybody knows that. Go on there, see what you can find there. If you want to get in more detailed, you can see what it's like, and then go over to Udemy to get a full course. They range from like $10 to $15, very, very cost effective, like I said. So that's udemy.com.
Wow, awesome. And everything I know you just really just all into YouTube. And we've had that discussion personally about encouraging me to do that. I remember when you were, prior to your formal classes for French, you actually got out there and learned and taught yourself through, was it YouTube?
Well, that was kind of before YouTube, but that was Amazon had a couple of courses I bought online and
Okay.
got videos and stuff like that. But learning is much more simpler now and cheaper. So YouTube, definitely, that's free. And then Udemy, if you can't find what you're looking for, if you really want to be an expert in it, I challenge everybody to go to udemy.com.
Okay. In wrapping up, also, I want to reserve an opportunity for you to close out, and I'll do our homework afterwards to talk about some of the outstanding opportunities that we have here at Georgia Christian Business Network and our vision to put God back in business. But you didn't talk much about Rome Media in your opening when I allowed you that opportunity. Would you like to speak more to that some? And then one thing I'll also say now is we definitely are going to have to have you back now that you found out that I am technical, according to Lisa, and so that we can have some maybe hands-on. And this might be a great opportunity, Lisa. So note this for 2022. We do contract opportunities for providers to come and facilitate members' benefit for our team, for our members and sponsors. So that might be an opportunity that you might want to work with us and partner with us on for 2022, being one of our quarterly presenters for Project Management Made Simple Part 2, or whatever you frame that to be. So.
Yeah, definitely. I can do that. And I actually have some time. I don't want to get ahead of of your agenda, but if there are any additional questions, feel free to ask. I am available. But yeah, just to answer your question. So I do have a media company. So we focus on offering various types of media solutions, podcasting. If you need help with a podcast, a lot of business owners are kind of moving forward with the podcast approach. It's a great way to get your business out there, share your thoughts with your audience, and give people more insight into what you do. Anything audio visual related to having PA system set up for an event, audio managed, sound managed. We do all of that as well. Even disc jockey services, that's done. So yeah, if you ever need any of that, feel free to reach out. Also, like I spoke to earlier, in the infant stages of starting a project management firm as well. So I completely understand project management can be slightly overwhelming, just to the points I spoke to earlier. So if you ever need help with a project, if you're like, hey, this just isn't an effective use of my time, I can be securing new clients, I can be working on retainment of my current clients, let me get a project management consultant. I'm available for that as well. So would love to connect. Always available to speak. You can find me on LinkedIn. I believe the GCBN LinkedIn page posted my name and tagged me in profiles. So, go check out their page, then check me out too. If you're not following the GCBN site, well, you can go find them easily, Mom. I'm sure you'll be able to speak to how you find them as well. Yeah. And you can find me as well, Jerome Copeland, in LinkedIn. It's literally this same picture. So do we have any other questions out there that we need to answer? Because like I said,
I think we're good. Okay. Lisa's already probably posted your information over on the Facebook side of the house, and we will continue to follow up in that regard to make sure people know how to reach out as a consultation opportunity. And I know that Rome Media is busy right now, but would opportunities for wedding parties, or, audio visual, any of those opportunities, please also identify that as well. Okay, so now what I'd like to say right now is just thank you. And this mama's proud right about now. And I don't use that word often. And so I know Roman's like, she said proud, and I am, because you've accomplished yourself. This is my mover and shaker, y'all. He just never ceased to amaze us. And my husband, Jerome's on the call right now, and we were talking on Friday, Saturday evening, I think, or Sunday evening. And we were just sitting there talking and watching a movie or something. He said, hold up a minute, here's Wonder Boy. And that's what we sometimes refers to him and his Uncle Travis, because those are two in our family that just never cease to amaze us with how they open themselves up for God to use you. And I think that that's amazing. And we love that. That you bring us and you keep us growing on. Jessica does a great job of that too, but you really keep us growing. And I just love that who you are, who God has established you to be, but more importantly, as a husband and as a father, it's just a delight to see that. And I know Bianca's on the call right now, and she's just, I tell everybody, he knew who to bring home to mama. She's just a delight. And I really had an opportunity to just bond with her at Thanksgiving. She was my right hand because Jessica tricked us or whatever and said she wasn't coming, but she showed up. But
after all the work was done.
After all the work was done, like Romy said. But she did bring sweet potato pies and brownies and baked dessert. So, but we just love it that who you are, Romy, who you challenge us to be in life. And thank you for this content that, is well received on the GCBN platform today. And we appreciate it. Have to send another shout out to my girlfriend, Deborah Waters. And I think she's probably my longest known friend that I have. And I just want to thank you. I can't remember how many years. And I know if you could chat that real quick, that'd be great. And then Jessica and my husband and all of you that have joined us here on Facebook, I'd like to say, and those watching the replay, enjoy this information, share it out with others and let them know that this is the quality of delivery for GCBN, is that we put this context tent out there to help you grow your business personally and professionally, because I want to shout out to Wellness Wednesday tomorrow at noon, same time. I love what's happening over there with Pamela Bridgman, LCSW, and Rich Oswald, LPC. And we're comparing the story of the birth of Jesus, of Mary's walk, if you will, in life to that of business ownership. It was just amazing how we have to give our kudos. Rich and I don't mind doing this to Pamela for how she mapped this thing out and is really showing the alignment to how Mary walked out her vision to how we can in turn glean and walk our vision for business as well. Okay, so thank you for joining us. Oh, thanks, Debbie. We've known each other since 1979. How is that? That's God. Thank you so much for your friendship. And Debbie says, well done, Mr. Copeland. How about that? Mr. Copeland, that's who he is. That's my baby though, y'all. So thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you guys. Go to our website, www.gcbnetwork.com. Send us an email, info@gcbnetwork.com. Look for ways for you to get involved, to undergird our vision as a business member or a sponsor, like Jessica Nails on this call is one of our GCBN sponsors. She's a corporate sponsor, and we appreciate all of you. So take care. Have a great afternoon. Thanks again, Romy. Appreciate you, son. Great opportunity, great mission here. God is doing great things in your life. Continue to trust and believe in him. And all of you on the replay, please send us some notes as well. Thank you, Lisa, for manning the post over there. You all have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you. Bye-bye now.